Texas and Mississippi.
Texas, I think it's a big mistake. The last thing we need is Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters.
Okay, President Biden did not hold back on the latest nonsensical and dangerous anti-scientific move by the Republican governors of Texas and Mississippi, who've decided to throw caution to the wind and scream YOLO, lifting their state's mask mandates and rolling back COVID restrictions against CDC warnings. Today's CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, reiterated that it is a very bad idea, especially as the administration works to ramp up vaccinations.
Stamina has worn thin. Fatigue is winning, and the exact measures we have taken to stop the pandemic are now too often being flagrantly ignored. I think we at the CDC have been very clear that now is not the time to release all restrictions. Every individual is empowered to do the right thing here, regardless of what the states decide.
Yesterday, President Biden vowed enough vaccine supply for every American adult by the end of May. But while the finish line is in sight, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, well, he just said, who cares? In making Texas the largest state to lift its mask mandate, he said it's time to open up everything, 100%, flouting public health experts because Texans don't need the state telling them how to operate. After he left millions of Texans literally in the cold with his derelict handling of Texas's power grid and infrastructure, because apparently Texans also don't need light and heat during a record winter storm, Abbott's latest gift to his constituents is congratulations, go get COVID. Health experts across Texas are blasting the move, saying they're mortified and disgusted and warning the rollbacks are like PTSD for doctors. But Republicans aren't so much interested in listening to those doctors, the real ones. Their favorite news source spent all of yesterday having a full-blown meltdown over Dr. Seuss being, quote, canceled over old-timey racist cartoons. And today, Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz, old Cancun Cruz, and Texas Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton, both of whom notably bailed on their state during last month's devastating deep freeze, said millions of Texans can just avoid COVID without the government's help.
I think it's great news. I think Texans are ready to get back to work. We can be smart. We can be safe. We can practice social distancing. We've taken reasonable common sense steps to slow the spread of the virus. But the answer isn't to destroy millions of jobs.
This is a pandemic that was going to spread one way or the other. There's certainly things we can do to protect ourselves, but we can't protect everyone all the time.
Wow. That's a stand down if you ever heard one. Joining me now is Dr. Kavita Patel, former Obama White House policy director and MSNBC medical contributor, and also Jason Johnson, professor of journalism and politics at Morgan State University. And Dr. Patel, we just realized today you are a Texan. When you hear that, you can't protect everybody at all the time. We'll be fine. The last time that Texas did this and played this game, back last May, they reopened bars at 25% capacity. The curve went up. They then closed bars. The curve continued to go up for about a month. They reopened bars at 50% capacity, goes up, 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 up. Every time they've done it. What do you make of it when you hear Ken Paxton say, you can't protect everybody?
Oh, Joy, I mean, it just burns in my heart because this is, I mean, as you point out, this is a state that has gone not just through its ups and downs, but coming off of the humanitarian crisis of still unfolding, by the way. There are still family members I have who are boiling their water in parts of Houston. So it's not like it's all hunky-dory now. But, this is the mayor of San Antonio, where I grew up, said it best. You don't cut your parachute off just as you're slowing on the descent. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. The very things that are working, the reason cases are coming down, and just cutting that off is exactly the wrong thing to do. But Joy, let's be honest. It's not like Abbott's alone. He's got about 12 other governors who have said no mask mandate. What's wrong with reopening? Right when we're going into spring break, right when we're going into Easter break, right when we know Houston, Texas, the first United States city to have all 5 of the most concerning, more infectious, possibly more deadly variants. Joy, why not? Why not open up the state and put, by the way, not Governor Abbott, not Ken Paxton, not any of the people that are in the state legislature at risk. Who? The people who are cleaning up the table after Governor Abbott put his little faux press conference at a Mexican restaurant in Lubbock, Texas. Those are the people he put at risk, and he doesn't care.
Yeah. Clearly not. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned spring break. I mean, I teach a class at Howard, Jason, and their spring break starts this Friday. Now, as of next week, they'll be on spring break. And you have kids that are in college that are going to be, some of them are already at home, but some are going to be heading to different states or leaving Texas and going to other states. And, Dr. Patel did mention all these other states. Let's put them up there. Mississippi and Texas go the furthest in terms of on March 10th, free-for-all, complete free-for-all. But you've also got other states, Alaska, Arizona, Florida, the notorious spring break and also gangster playground, Georgia, Iowa. You've talked about it, it's all open and wide in Atlanta. Statewide orders have been dropped all over the country. Look at that map. We're getting so close, Jason. What do you make of the politics of deciding to basically reintroduce COVID full steam in places like Texas and Mississippi?
Well, Joy, let's hope that neither your Howard students or any of my Morgan students are at, say, like a Bow Wow concert in Dallas, Texas. I think most of my students are going to be reasonably smart over spring break. This is what makes this so obscenely irresponsible. You still have, as Dr. Kavita Patel just said, you still have people in Texas, 7 days ago who are using melted snow to shower, to drink, to flush their own toilets. You still have people who were burning furniture to keep their houses warm at night. This is a state that is still in a state of emergency, and you're deciding you're going to add to that emergency by saying, hey, come get some tattoos and go to the beach. The same thing is happening in Mississippi. And if you look at a place like Georgia, Georgia has some of the lowest vaccination rates in the country next to Texas. It is absolutely insane and irresponsible. And I think in many instances, what these politicians are doing is they're trying to distract from the issue. Hey, let's open up the state so you don't look at my incompetence on the issues of handling the weather and the grid. Hey, let's talk about Dr. Seuss so you don't look at the fact that we're trying to destroy a COVID care bill. That is what these Republican politicians are doing. They don't want you to see what's in front of you, which is other people being sick. They want to distract you with baubles and going back into the movie theater.
It's completely performative. I'm so glad you said it. It is completely performative. This isn't even politics. But Dr. Patel, for real people, as you said, I mean, Jackson, Mississippi is still suffering. All the black parts of Jackson don't have any water, just like places in Texas. This is going to hit poor people, black people, brown people the hardest, right?
Oh, no question whatsoever. We've talked about the national disparities, Joy. In parts of Mississippi, there is literally no place to go get a vaccine where you can't drive. You have to drive basically at least an hour and a half one way. That's unacceptable. And that, by the way, is when people ask about systemic racism, and look, Jason's taught me, you've taught me, this is what we're living. This is day to day. This is 2021. And unfortunately, I hate to say it this way, when these things unfold, Joy, it feels like nobody cares. That's when you see all these health professionals just feeling slapped down. It feels like nobody cares. And that's how many Texans, Mississippians, they're all feeling that way tonight.
Right.
No, absolutely. I'm sure the doctors are exhausted. And, Jason, there is a term called necropolitics, which is essentially the politics of who gets to live and who gets to die. And these states, what they have in common is that they have structures which say that black and brown lives matter less. And so all that matters is that the black and brown people get their behinds into the factory and make me my steaks, make me my stuff, get there and do my nails, work, get back to work now and do the things that I, the comfortable, affluent person, need. Isn't that what we're seeing? I mean, that's what it feels like to me, necropolitics in states like Texas.
Oh, yeah. The Hunger Games would be more humane, right? If they made people line up and fight for vaccines, at least then you have a fighting chance. No, they're just going to starve people. And it's always seemed ironic to me that the party of supposedly family values is basically saying, you kids starve, auntie starves, uncle starves, and my wife and my smart son get to eat and get to live and get the vaccine. That is essentially what's happening here. And here's the problem. It used to just be an issue of harming black and brown people. But this is harming what's left of the Republican base. Mississippi's a red state. They're killing a lot of their own supporters.
Yeah.
Texas is a red state, even though it's through suppression. They're killing a lot of their own supporters. So it's not even political. It's just nihilism and an absolute lack of empathy for the human impact and the catastrophe that so many Americans are living through right now.
Yeah, and let's not forget that in a lot of these states,
they didn't expand the Medicaid program on purpose. They turned down money to expand a program that could give people health care. That's the state we're talking about.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's a reason they call it necropolitics. It's vicious. Kavita Patel, Jason Johnson, thank you both very much. Really appreciate you guys tonight.